How about now? Somebody turn those off. I don't know why. All right, once again, guys, welcome into Austin Live here from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. Of course, you can join us on the Fox Local app. If you didn't hear us there for about the first 2 minutes, I apologize. We are up and running, ready to go. We're also sort of doing a simulcast here on TikTok, as you can see my phone here. So if you want to join us on TikTok, you can do that as well. And, of course, you can join us right here on Fox Local. And if you don't like going to the App Store, you can also join us on YouTube Live as well, and you can rewatch episodes there. And obviously, the last 2 weeks we've been talking about Nancy Guthrie. It seems like every single day there's, of course, new information coming in. People are very hungry for this information. But before we get to the latest on 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, who is still missing, I do want to get to some horrifying news out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So the headline reading here from the Associated Press: 3 killed, including suspect in shooting during Rhode Island youth hockey game. 3 people, including the suspect, were fatally shot during a Rhode Island youth hockey game. This is earlier today. This is the scene outside of that hockey rink. It is Dennis M. Lynch Arena. This is a youth hockey game. There is some very disturbing video that we will show you guys, but this is the scene here. As you can see, the crime scene tape up. We're continuing to get more information on this. It looks like the investigators are trying to piece together exactly what happened and speak with witnesses who were actually inside. There was a game being played during all of this horrifying scenes out there in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I do want to get to the police chief here, Tina Gonsalves, as this was caught earlier by some of our Fox cameras. So I want to switch it over to her now. Not a lot of information she's going to give us here, but we'll listen in to what Chief Gonsalves has to say. I don't know why we can't hear her. Can you guys hear her? I can't hear her. Well, anyway, she goes on to say it appears this was a targeted event. It may be a family dispute. She then went on to say, fortunately, the 2 incidents, are not related. It is very tragic. Oh, this has to do with Brown University. I'm not quite sure why that audio is not working there. Let's try that again. Anthony, do you hear that at all? Well, that's fun. Okay, well, that's not working. As I mentioned, if you're just joining us here, this is the latest on a shooting, a very tragic situation out here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. As we saw earlier here, I'll pull up the scenes outside. This is outside of that hockey rink, Dennis M. Lynch Arena. The police chief here, Gonsalves, saying investigators are trying to piece together what happened and speak with witnesses of the shooting inside that arena. This is just a few miles outside of Providence, Rhode Island. They are also reviewing video taken from the hockey game. Unverified footage circulating on social media shows players diving for cover and fans fleeing their seats after popping sounds are heard. Outside the arena, tearful families and high school hockey players still in uniform could be seen hugging before they boarded a bus to leave the area. Roads surrounding the arena were shut down as a heavy police presence remained and helicopters flew overhead. Now, of course, today's shooting comes nearly 2 months after Rhode Island was, of course, rocked by another separate gun violence tragedy at Brown University. Here on the show, we were covering that day to day as well. This is when a gunman killed 2 students, injuring 9 others. That shooter went on to also fatally shoot themselves shoot a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor, and then authorities later found Claudio Neves Valente dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at a New Hampshire storage facility. Now, the Pawtucket mayor says, quote, fortunately, the 2 incidents are not related, but it is very tragic. These are high school kids. They were doing an event. They were playing with fans watching, and it turned into this. If you're not familiar where Pawtucket is, it is nestled just north of Providence and right under the Massachusetts state border, a town of just under 80,000 people having to deal with this horrible situation out there. Now, I do want to pull up the video we saw earlier here, and I do want to give credit to the person that posted it. I want to warn you guys, if you do not want to watch this video, you don't necessarily see anything, but you do hear things. And so if this is something you don't want to watch, I'm just giving you a warning now. But here it is. I want to give credit to this man here, Eric Rube. He's a Rhode Island high school sports writer. So obviously this is something he's familiar with, an arena that he is familiar with. I want to pull up this video and we'll listen into it. As I mentioned, if you don't want to watch this, I'm giving you a warning now. You don't see anything, but you do hear things. We'll listen in. It's obviously really horrifying scenes there. I'm going to start it over. If you're just joining us, this is video from an incident that happened earlier today in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. 3 people, including the suspect, fatally shot during this youth hockey game. These are high school kids here. You don't see anything specifically. I'm going to play the video again. I'm just going to give you a warning, but you do hear things. You hear loud popping noises, and we now understand those are gunshots being heard there. And you'll see the players running for cover. You'll see them even coming, out from the bench here and going to what seems like an exit, perhaps towards the locker room. This was shot by the cameras that they have there that obviously shoot these games, but this was posted by a local Rhode Island high school sports writer. So once again, just giving you guys a warning, we'll listen in to the video. So of course you start to see these kids scrambling here. They're going to skate to the other side of the rink, and what we assume is perhaps an exit towards the locker room, trying to get some better cover here than just being stuck in the bench area. You see parents, fans also filing out as well. Just a terrifying scene there in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. This is just outside of Providence. And so that's what we have, and I do want to show you guys, and we had a soundbite from the police chief there, but I will just read to you guys what she said in that soundbite from earlier today, speaking with a ton of media right after this incident happened outside of the arena. She said, quote, "Upon arrival, police were met with several people, obviously inside the arena, and there were 2 casualties within the arena. The suspect was confirmed as one of those casualties. Later on, we learned that another casualty from the shooting was at the hospital, and they succumbed to their injuries after being at the hospital. And there's 3 additional victims at the hospital that are all in critical condition at this time. It appears this was a targeted event, and yes, it is family related." So the information coming in, this was a man who appears to have shot his wife and kids and then shooting himself as well. And so we'll continue to follow this. We'll continue to get more updates. I'm sure perhaps there might be more video from inside the arena, obviously with parents in there watching this game. Maybe they're getting some video of their kid, but just a horrifying event here. Obviously, the video that we're seeing, you don't necessarily see anything specifically, but you do hear those loud popping noises. And this video, I mean, it's already gotten 700,000 views. So a lot of people interested in this. We did have some cameras on the ground out there in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. If anything comes up here, I'll be sure to toss it over there if there is any sort of update. But it does appear to be an isolated incident, and the suspect in this case, obviously, a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the process. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are, of course, going to cover the continued saga of Nancy Guthrie and just how difficult all of this information has been to sort of grasp and take in and process. There's been so many online rumors. There's been people on social media with so many wild theories as to what happened. And of course, many people, as is the case with a lot of these disappearances and or criminal activity, pointing to within inside the family and saying, hey, could this be somebody from within the Guthrie family doing this? But as we learned today, that is perhaps not the case. You are watching Austin Live right here on the Fox Local app, also on YouTube Live, and we've got a TikTok stream going as well. You can join us there, Alec, on Fox 7. We will take a quick break. You're watching Austin Live. Welcome back into Austin Live, coming at you guys on the Fox Local app here live from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. You can also join us, of course, on YouTube Live as well. And as is the case over the last week, we're only a week into this, sort of in the infancy phase, we're doing a simulcast with TikTok Live as well, just to try and interact with more people out there. So if you want to watch us in both ways, one's going to be delayed. But if you want to interact, you want to ask us questions here, I will do my best to try and answer them live while we're talking to people as well. But of course, if you're just joining us, first segment of the show, we were talking about a horrifying shooting incident in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. We did see some video from within an ice hockey rink during a game. We heard these loud popping noises, which are gunshots. It appears that a man has killed members of his family while also killing himself, an isolated incident. And the investigators there obviously are going to continue to give us more information. We did have some people there on the ground, Fox cameras, of course, trying to gather some footage. So if anything comes up, I have my eye out here. If there's any update on that report, we'll be sure, obviously, to switch back to that. But I do want to head back to the case that we have been talking about for weeks now, and I'm sure some of you out there are probably tired of talking about this. Maybe you're not. Maybe you want to continue to know more information. But there are some updates today in the case of Nancy Guthrie. The 84-year-old has been gone, disappeared for more than 2 weeks now. We are entering week 3 of this investigation. We continue to hear Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos give out information, specifically talking to Fox News. And this was from Fox True Crime at about 5:40 p.m. So just about 50 minutes before we came on with you guys. They said, breaking, an FBI official tells Fox News the DNA from the glove in the Nancy Guthrie case is still undergoing quality control at the sheriff's private lab in Florida. It was sent from Tucson on February 12th. It's expected to be entered into the FBI CODIS soon, possibly tonight. Now, this did get some criticism early on because many people said, wait, if they have this DNA, why wouldn't they be sending this DNA to Quantico in Virginia, of course, with the FBI? Chris Nanos obviously deciding to go with this private lab in Florida, and it looks as though that this information may be entered into the FBI CODIS system soon, possibly tonight. But really the big story of the day, and so many of you out there have said, look at the brother-in-law, look at the sister, Annie Guthrie. Why is Savannah acting this way? Did someone from within the family know something about this? There's been a ton of online speculation. There's been a ton of rumors spread. There's been so many people freeze framing the still images we saw of that person approaching the front door in that Nest camera footage and saying, wait, is this the brother-in-law? Is this somebody the brother-in-law knows? Well, the big news of the day here coming from Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, he says that Nancy Guthrie's family members have been cleared as suspects in the investigation. And this is what he says, quote here, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. This was in a statement earlier today. He goes on to say, the family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. Nanos also told Fox News on Friday that DNA evidence from the home did not match family members or anyone in close contact to her. This announcement, obviously, as I mentioned, is big because so many of you out there have speculated online, on social media, that perhaps it is someone from within the Guthrie family. But Chris Nanos saying that is not the case. They are victims here. Once again, we are entering the 3rd week of this investigation, and really we've got maybe 4 to 5 key pieces of evidence that we are aware of that they have put out there, of course. We've got gloves, we've got the pacemaker involved, we've got the Bluetooth connection being gone, we've got the still images of what appears to be a man approaching the front door of Nancy's home. We've got the video as well. And when he comes up there and sees this Nest camera, he looks a little bit caught off guard. He grabs what appears to be a rose bush and putting that up. And so during all this, people were saying, look at the backpack, look at what he's wearing, look at the jacket. It looks as though a lot of this stuff, specifically the backpack, is a black Ozark trail. This could be purchased at Walmart. His whole outfit could be purchased at Walmart. So, of course, this is something they're looking into. I do want to express this person is suspected to be between 5'9 and 5'10. They say he has an average build. The second piece of evidence also is a DNA sample that we just mentioned that came from an unknown individual inside Guthrie's home. That's the one that's been sent out. The FBI is checking the DNA against a glove recovered from inside a 2-mile search radius around the house and said it appears to match the gloves of the suspect in the surveillance video. Federal law enforcement also said the glove contained DNA consistent with, quote, an unknown male profile. The DNA profile is expected to be run through CODIS, perhaps as early as tonight. The third piece of evidence here is blood that is a genetic match to Guthrie's, which was found on her front porch. It remains unclear when the blood was spilled. So a lot of you out there have said, okay, if they come into this house, they come in through the front door, and they're taking her out, is there a vehicle involved? Is there another person involved? Where is this blood coming from? Remains to be seen. Authorities also know that Guthrie's pacemaker lost connection to the phone application it was tethered to at 2:28 a.m. on that Sunday morning she went missing. They used a high-tech Bluetooth scanning device placed in a low-flying helicopter to try and detect that pacemaker. That was unsuccessful. So many people were questioning, hey, what's up with this low-flying helicopter? Are they hovering over a body? Have they discovered something? It's become clear to us now that they had a high-tech Bluetooth scanning device and they were trying to pick up Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. Unsuccessful. I did want to go back and look at a timeline here in case people are forgetting. So we will go back to the night of January 31st. This is right before she goes, allegedly, she allegedly gets kidnapped, okay? So this is January 31st. Between 9:30 and 9:45 p.m., the family drops Nancy off at home, allegedly. A lot of you out there, specifically a lot of you here on social media say, whoa, 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 how do we even know she was dropped off? So there's already people questioning that. 9:50, the garage door closes. This is per authorities. This is per law enforcement. So if she gets dropped off at that time, what I've continued to question is what's going on between perhaps 9:45. We also were told maybe she goes in at 9:48. So what's happening in that 2, 3, maybe even 5 minutes? Is it taking her that long to get out of the vehicle and get inside of her home? Does she forget to close the garage door immediately? Is it easier for her to go in through the garage rather than the front door because you got to grab your keys, what have you? Maybe it's just more secure for her to keep the front door locked. She goes through the gate, or I should say the garage, with some sort of gate code. Okay. So then at 1:47 a.m., a doorbell camera disconnects. And then at 2:12 a.m., security camera detects motion. 16 minutes later, at 2:28 a.m., a pacemaker disconnects from her phone application. 2:28 a.m. And then about 9 hours later, the family checks on Nancy after she misses her weekly church service, which is a live stream in which she would go and watch with people in a small group. Because we were told initially that she didn't go to church. Well, what they were saying, what they meant was she didn't go to her friend's house with that small group to watch all of this on a live stream. And we've also learned that that live stream is based out of New York, and it's actually her daughter Savannah Guthrie's church that she goes to, of course, the co-host of the Today Show out there in New York. Okay, so that's 11:56 a.m. And then at 12:03 p.m., 911 gets called. 12 minutes later, at 12:15, the sheriff deputies arrive at the home. And since then, on February 1st, at 12:15, we've got more questions than answers, of course. And now, something I did want to explain, too, is we deal with this kind of stuff all the time. When there's a murder, when there's a certain crime involved, and investigators are having to go through all the evidence, they're not going to be entirely transparent about it because they don't want to compromise the investigation that they're doing. But because this has so much attention, because people want to find an answer, they're saying, wait, why isn't law enforcement giving us all the answers? Why aren't they telling us X, Y, Z? This is pretty normal protocol. And I was trying to think about a case where we paid attention to something this much every single day. Maybe Natalie Holloway. You guys may remember that. I also thought of Lacey Peterson. I was just a kid then. But these are the kind of cases in which it seemed like every day there was some sort of wall-to-wall coverage, whether that be on a certain cable channel, but now it's social media, and there's so much stuff, circling, and there's so much opinion, and look at this and look at that. So I think there's just so much speculation that people are frustrated that they're not getting more answers, of course. So I am curious if you guys out there can think of a case as similar to this in terms of not an 84-year-old woman being allegedly kidnapped, but something that is talked about day to day where people continue to have this curiosity of exactly what happened. Something else I wanted to point out before we go to break, one of our Fox reporters. Asher Red, who does a great job for us, he will sometimes join us. He's been in Tucson, and part of his story was explaining that there's been more than a dozen gloves found around the area, which is believed to be perhaps tied to law enforcement. So they're having to deal with a lot. I know it doesn't sound like much when you say 2 mile radius, but when you got to deal with that landscape, that terrain, I mean, I think people think desert and they just think sand and it's flat. There are foothills out there, there's cacti, so there's a lot that these people have to shuffle through, and there's a ton of information coming in. They are getting tens of thousands of tips and emails and calls. They have just been overran with all this information. And you know who else has gotten a lot of information? TMZ, which some people have a problem with. So when we come back, I want to show you what TMZ CEO, founder, whatever you want to call him, he is the TMZ guy, Harvey Levin, had to say. Some people calling him Sheriff Levin, because he appears to have more information than Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos himself. So when we come back, we'll look at that. You're watching Austin Live right here on the Fox Local app. You can also watch us on YouTube Live as well. We'll be right back. To show that right now. All right, welcome back into Austin Live. We're joining you guys from the Fox 7 Austin newsroom. You can watch us right here on the Fox Local app. You can also watch us on YouTube Live as well. Just go to Fox 7 Austin, go to the Live tab. You can watch us there. You can also watch old episodes as well. And some people here joining us on TikTok as well, if that's something you guys are into, doing the dual screen viewing while you're watching something. I know a lot of you guys out there probably just put on the brain rot, as they call it, watch your TV and scroll through your phone as well. You can watch us on here. And some people asking, hey, how do we watch this on YouTube? So I'm trying to explain our best, and if you want to join us on here, I'll try to answer your questions here, and then also you can message us from there as well. But I wanted to go to, and we're sticking with Nancy Guthrie here because so many of you guys want to continue talking about it, of course, just the story that never seems to end as we enter the third week of this investigation. But TMZ's Harvey Levin has been as involved with this as any media member that I can remember with a certain case. To some that is odd, to some that is weird, but this is sort of their bread and butter, if you will. You know, it's got the celebrity element with Savannah Guthrie. There's mystery involved here. There's perhaps violence involved. There's the ransom letter. I mean, it has all the makings of a story that gets traction, and people are confused and people want answers. So Harvey Levin is claiming here that they have received another email, another ransom letter. This is the fourth now, which seems odd, like I said. So we'll listen in to what Harvey had to say. And I mentioned this on Friday when we were being told that people were being detained at a home, and there was another person in a traffic stop detained, so we had 4 people detained. I thought Friday perhaps was the beginning of the end, and we were wrong. All those people were released. And then since then, I also pointed out that Harvey Levin is 75 years old, and he doesn't look like it, which is perhaps the most shocking part of him. But we'll listen into what he had to say. Very interesting here in terms of the ransom letter. I know the people here on TikTok aren't going to be able to hear it, so if you guys do want to hear it, we'll have it here on Fox Local.
It is Monday morning. We have received a 4th letter from the same person who says that he knows where Nancy Guthrie is and he wants money in return for the information. Essentially, he wants the reward. So I have something to say to you, and I have already talked to the FBI about this, that if you are not real, you're committing a crime, and you should know that. And this is a serious federal crime. If you are real, this is the 4th letter you've sent, and I should tell everybody that in this letter it says, I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border, and I was told to shut up, so I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them. This is the second time he has referred to more than one person involved in this. He said there is a main person and there are others, and he said it here. He is saying that Nancy was taken to Mexico. Now, this is what he's saying. I'm not going to vouch for him, but this is the 4th letter. We have sent them all on to the FBI. And he also says one of the reasons he's worried about coming forward is he has a record. He has a burglary on his record from 10 years ago. So I don't know if you're real or not if you're watching this, but if you are, and I have told the FBI that we're going to do this, they know this, that if you're worried about getting this money and you really do have this information, send it to us. You're sending us these letters. Send it to us. We will forward it to the FBI, and that way there's a record that we have that you supplied this information. If they find her and they find the kidnapper, then at least there is evidence, because we have it, that you're the one who provided the information. So this is a way for you to get that money if this really is legitimate. Send us the information. We will pass it on to the FBI.
All right, so that was Harvey Levin there talking about what he says is a 4th ransom letter sent to TMZ. Once again, a lot of people have issues with this. They think, why is TMZ so involved? Why is Harvey Levin so involved? There have been memes created, in the comments section of this, and there were people putting Chris Nanos's sheriff uniform on Harvey Levin, calling him Sheriff Levin. The most interesting part, though, is kind of towards the middle of the video, and the person allegedly puts in that letter, I know what I saw 5 days ago at the border. I saw Nancy with them. So this person making it sound like they know who did it, they've seen what has happened, but they're not necessarily saying they're the ones that are committing this crime. But of course, if they are lying about all this, and this is not true, that in itself is a crime as well. And so whether or not that there is validity to these ransom letters, we do not know. You would think that if somebody actually wanted to get a ransom, that if somebody actually wanted to get paid, you would provide proof of life, you would provide more information, you would give those people what they wanted so you could get paid. Isn't your motive to get paid? So that's why a lot of people have issues with this, and there could just be bad actors out there taking advantage of the situation and saying, you know what, I'm going to get involved with this, I'm going to send these letters. Another thing too is, unless they're using some sort of specific VPN, I don't know all the ways in which they could disguise where they're sending this from, but you would think with modern technology and the way that these things are being sent here that they could perhaps zero in on where this is coming from. But I understand they could use VPNs. There are some people that are very good with technology and computers, obviously. So it is a very interesting situation because Harvey Levin and everyone at TMZ seems to be so involved with all of this, and they're just, in my opinion, I think what you're going to have here is this person may continue to talk to them. Because obviously, why not? You're getting 1.3 million people. Look,
Monday morning,
1.3 million people have viewed this. So if this person does just want attention, if this person does just want to mess with people, they're getting millions of people to be involved with this. This is on TMZ's Twitter page here. This is the pinned tweet. This is the number one thing they're putting out because they know this is what everybody is talking about right now. If you're just joining us on this, and I will recap for our people here as well, the news is shoving it down your throat to distract you. I don't know about that, Jordan. The biggest piece that we learned today, because there have been some updates here and there, and some days have been slower than others, obviously. Last week we got that video of this alleged kidnapper. That was huge. But today, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos coming out and saying that Nancy Guthrie's family members have been cleared as suspects in the investigation. That we are entering week 3 of this disappearance. He goes on to say, quote, "To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. Please, I'm begging you, the media, to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism." Nanos also told Fox News that DNA evidence from the home did not match family members or, quote, anyone in close contact to her. So kind of pointing the finger at the media and saying, hey, don't blame these people, don't point to these people. I do find it interesting that they'll say the media, like it's this giant, we're all under the same umbrella. I get it. They'll just say the media, the media. There are a lot of people on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram that are not actual members of the media that are just coming on and providing their own spin and speculation on all this. Those aren't, if you want to call that the media, that's within your right, I guess. You can say whatever you want, but I think some people get that confused because they'll see some things go viral and then they'll say, well, the media is saying this. That's not always the case. There's some actual local reporters out there in Tucson, Arizona that are doing their due diligence. They're not just going around saying whatever they think. Obviously, there's a race to get the information. There's a race to be first, unfortunately. Sometimes it's not about being right, but for some people it's about being first. And so we've seen Fox News put stuff out. We've seen TMZ put stuff out. When we were told that somebody was detained last week, that was ABC putting that out before Fox. So it's been a difference of where this information is coming from. But for some reason, there seems to be an individual that is rather obsessed with sending alleged ransom letters to Harvey Levin at TMZ. So we'll continue to see if that's a thing. There's been no money exchange as far as we're aware of. There were people detained on Friday. I thought that was the beginning of the end, but here we are, 3 weeks into this thing now, and it doesn't look like we have an exact suspect, and nobody is in custody. So we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll try to wrap some of this up, and I do want to show you guys a very, I don't know if it's interesting, troubling, no one was seriously hurt, but we've got a really interesting point of view video with a cyclist in a car. I know so many of you out there see these things happen every day. Some of you out there cycle as well. So we'll show you that video. It's a story that Marco's working on right now as we speak. He'll have that at our 9 o'clock. So we'll look at that a little bit. We'll tease ahead to our 9 o'clock, so we'll be right back. Welcome back into Austin Live. You guys are joining us right here on the Fox Local app. I had to stand up a little bit. It's quite hot in here. It's quite stuffy, so trying to get some air here. But if you're just joining us, we have covered obviously the horrifying shooting that took place earlier today in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. If you're not aware of that story, I will read you just the headlines here. This is from the Associated Press from Pawtucket. 3 people, including the suspect, were fatally shot during a Rhode Island youth hockey game Monday, today. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Gonsalves told reporters that 3 other victims are hospitalized in critical condition. She says, quote, "It appears this was a targeted event, that it may be a family dispute." She did not provide details about the suspect or the ages of those who were killed, though she said it appeared that both victims were adults. She said investigators are trying to piece together what happened and speak with witnesses of the shooting inside Dennis M. Lynch Arena in Pawtucket. This is just a few miles outside of Providence, Rhode Island. They are also reviewing video taken from the hockey game. Unverified footage circulating on social media shows players diving for cover, which we showed you guys earlier. You don't necessarily see anything. Obviously, it's troubling to take in. You do hear some loud popping noises. Let me see if there's any update on that in terms of social media, because when we printed this out earlier, we're talking almost an hour ago. So let me just see if there's anything new on this. Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Let's see here. Of course, if any of you guys here on the TikTok Live are from that area, our thoughts out to you as well. So this is 51 minutes ago from the New York Post. It says here, according to them, wow, a father gunned down his wife and 3 kids in the stands at a high school hockey tournament in Rhode Island. My goodness. 2 people were killed, including a little girl, and 3 others are in critical condition at a hospital after the gunfire erupted at the Lynch Arena. This is around 2:30 p.m. local time, so about, I think, 1:30 our time here. The shooter, the father, is also dead. My goodness. Just a horrible story there. Let's see. A live stream of the hockey match captured the moment spectators and players dove to the floor as approximately 11 gunshots rang out. Many players on the bench scrambled as they pushed to squeeze out of the box. And I do want to show you guys that video because we do have it here. And once again, it is rather disturbing to hear. There's nothing necessarily violent that you can see other than these kids trying to duck for cover. So we'll listen into it once more. According to this New York Post report, 11 gunshots here. There's that very chilling video that I just mentioned as we were learning here from the New York Post report. According to this is just about under an hour ago. It reading here, a father guns down his wife and 3 kids in the stands at a high school hockey tournament in Rhode Island. And obviously, as you saw from the video there, people screaming, ducking for cover. The hockey players appearing to go to the other side of the rink there, maybe to get an exit, maybe to go to the locker room and try and find some better cover. According to the New York Post, 11 gunshots heard there. 2 people were killed, including a little girl, so obviously this father's daughter, from what it sounds like. 3 others are in critical condition at a hospital after the gunfire erupted. The shooter, the father who committed or allegedly did this, is also dead. So just a horrifying story there. Let's see. A hero bystander disarmed the gunman, but he had another weapon, according to witnesses. A source told Fox News that the gunman shot his wife and their 3 children before turning the gun on himself. My goodness. Horrifying, horrifying story out of Pawtucket here. Let's see. 1 victim, believed to be a young girl, was found dead inside the arena with the shooter. Another person died at the hospital, and the 3 remaining victims are all in critical condition. The mayor's office there in Pawtucket said that authorities aren't searching for any additional suspects. So it seems like obviously this is a targeted attack here. This gunman shooting his own family. wild, and then killing himself. Students from Coventry, Johnston, North Providence, and North Smithfield high schools were all participating in games at this arena when the shooting occurred. So it was a tournament, got this youth hockey tournament going on. An employee at a nearby Walgreens told WPRI that people came streaming into the store following the shooting to report the incident. The employee said staffers were instructed to close the door and evacuate the building. People then hid inside the store as a staff member called 911. Brandon Mello, a local sports editor, said that one father at the game wrestled a gun out of the shooter's hands, but they still had a second weapon, as we mentioned. Another school... Got hair in my mouth here. Another school told this station they have been told none of our school family was injured. The other school superintendent also confirmed that all of the town students were accounted for. Unbelievable. So just a horrifying incident here out of Rhode Island. We'll continue to update you guys as if anything new comes in, but obviously an isolated incident from what it sounds like. We did have some cameras on the ground earlier, trying to get a live report of this. If that does come up, I will try and obviously toss to that as well. Let's get to that interesting video that I wanted to show you guys. Going back to local here in Austin, Texas. And so we've got this really interesting dash cam video here, and it doesn't take long for you guys to see exactly what happens. So I will pull this up, and you guys can watch and listen in here. So I believe this is on... Is this on Congress, Marco? Yeah, South Congress. It's on South Congress. Okay, so this is South Congress, guys. Watch this.
Oh, Jesus!
Okay, so hold on. We got other audio playing somewhere. Give me a second. Okay, let's go back to that. So this is South Congress here. We've got a bicyclist right here. We got a car here. I'm sorry. Got a bicyclist here. Got a car here. Okay? Now watch how this unfolds. Here we go.
Oh, Jesus!
So
Parking mode.
We'll show it to you guys again. So you can see this bicyclist right here on South Congress. See the car here. This guy's going to turn right. It looks as though the blinker goes on, but it's rather late. And this guy's coming at a pretty good speed here. Watch this. Boom. My goodness.
Oh, Jesus!
Now, I don't want to give too much away of the story, but Marco actually, talked to the bicyclist, and he has the latest on that. And then he also spoke with an attorney basically to figure out, okay, who's in the right here? Who's in the wrong here? And so I know a lot of you out there have to see this every day in terms of, when you're turning, you got to be aware of the bicyclists. I know a lot of people out there don't like seeing the bicyclists on the road, obviously, but there are the right and the wrong here. There is the law here. And so Marco did talk to an attorney. He'll have that story coming up at 9 o'clock, so I don't want to give away too much there, but some really, first-hand footage there, a POV of this bike crash. This happened earlier today, this morning. So Marco will have the update on that, and really for you guys to decide, I guess, whether or not you think the guy in the car is in the right. So we're going to take another break. When we come back, we will try to wrap everything up, and we'll have our eyes and ears on everything else that's going on. If anything breaking comes up as well, you can join us here on the Fox Local app. You can join us here on the TikTok Live as well. Spider-Man, who knows? Oh, got you on the wrong screen there, guys. Welcome back to Austin Live here on the Fox Local app. Of course, you can join us on YouTube Live as well. And we've got a pretty good little squad here over on TikTok. I know, isn't that weird, right? We've been trying this sort of simulcast situation. So some people here joining us, getting a little, they're calling it the backstage pass, if you will. We've done it in here. We've done it in the main studio, which has been a lot of fun. And, of course, these people cannot always see everything that we're showing on the regular show as well. But we appreciate everyone interacting, everyone giving us questions, and joining the conversation on so many different things. Before we go, we got about six minutes left here. I did want to point out that one of the greatest, in my opinion, Hollywood actors of all time, Robert Duvall, passing away today at the age of 95. Yes, very sad. I immediately texted my mom, a huge Robert Duvall fan. But something I did want to point out, Robert Duvall, here he is, pull him up, right here. Something that was pointed out earlier today, really awesome stat here. Robert Duvall is in AFI's top 100 films 6 times the most of any actor. So this guy's career spans so many decades. Obviously, a lot of people will remember him from To Kill a Mockingbird, and that's sort of his coming out party there. That's 1962, okay? So that's when this guy's career starts, and then so many people know him, obviously, from The Godfather, playing the lawyer there for the Corleone family, and Tom Hagen, which personally for me is probably what I love him in the most. In Godfather Part 1 and 2, if you guys have never seen that movie, Tom Hagen is the man. And he's just been in so many great movies. I mean, here he is here with Al Pacino. Obviously, you've got Hollywood royalty there. A very young Robert Duvall, but passing away today at the age of 95. So many people sending out their condolences, sending out their favorite movies, sending out, so many things that they loved about the man, the artist, the movies he was in, the job he did, the Academy Award winner that he was. And so really, really sad, but obviously a long and awesome life. Now, I think, in my opinion, the most underrated movie, honestly, out of any movie that I can think of when I think of underrated movies, because not enough people talk about this movie, Secondhand Lions, 2003. I still have that on VHS. And Robert Duvall stars alongside Michael Caine, also a legend, and Haley Joel Osment, and is this awesome, spectacular story. And he plays a guy named by Hub McCann. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best scenes here. So we'll just listen into the great Robert Duvall in dealing with this young punk here.
Hey, old man. How's that barbecue? Give me some.
We're busy. Before we get lost, all right?
What did you say?
Here's a perfect example of what I've been talking about. Since this boy was suckling on his mama's tit, he's been given everything but discipline. And now his idea of courage and manhood is to get together with a bunch of punk friends and ride around irritating folks too good-natured to put a stop to it.
Hey, who do you think you are, huh?
Just a dumb kid, Hub. Don't kill him. Right. Hub McCann. I fought in 2 world wars and countless smaller ones on 3 continents. I led thousands of men into battle with everything from horses and swords to artillery and tanks. I've seen the headwaters of the Nile and tribes of natives no white man had ever seen before. I've won and lost a dozen fortunes, killed many men, and loved only one woman with a passion a flea like you could never begin to understand. That's who I am. Now go home, boy.
Show these old bastards who's tough. Get out your knife. Yeah.
Now, boys, you're fixing to let those teenage hormones get you into the world of trouble.
Damn it, Garth, did I ask you to butt in?
Hub, you just come out of the hospital.
Well, there's only 4 of them.
Yeah, but, well, look, you fight this one first, and then I'll let you fight the other 3 after, okay?
Yeah. Watch this, kid.
Now, you better pick that knife up, because, son, you're going to need all the help you can get.